outclassed every single year here by Mercedes, but their domination under threat after a brilliant qualifying yesterday that saw Lando Norris take his first ever pole position. We're here located on the Black Sea coast. It's the largest resort city, and C3, the hard tyre, should be the best race tyre. We'll expect to see the top 10 starting on the mediums, but you could get big tyre degradation towards the closing stages of this race, and we might have the wet weathers and the intermediates used as well. Here's the watch. Hamilton will try and watch everyone. What a race this could be today.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at the headrest of Max Verstappen. On that matte paint you can see some drops of rain as well, so maybe just in the distance, but don't expect that it's not going to rain, because there's something around and we're very close to the sea. Look and say, well, is Bottas really a contender to get to the podium? On his recent form you would say it's doable, but it would certainly take something exceptional, as opposed to when Hamilton starts there, he seems to be able to get his way through.
Right, there's the rain off in the distance. Karun Chandok, you are our weatherman outside in the fresh air today.
Batteries, they head to the grid with quite low percentage of batteries, or they head out of the pits with low percentage. Then they use the car while they're driving around with the hybrid and exhaust gases to charge it up, and it's not happening for Max. Watch out for that. By the way, Crofty, look out for Fernando Alonso. He's starting on the hard tyre. That could be a problem off the launch. But he did.
Pointing his Ferrari to the right-hand side as he bids to try and get past Nicholas Latifi at the start. It's the Russian Grand Prix. 5 lights are on, and it's lights out, away we go. Lando Norris does get away very well. Daniel Ricciardo too, and Norris now leads George Russell, who's ahead of Carlos Sainz, with Ricciardo coming up alongside him. And Sainz is getting a good slipstream. Hamilton trying to go down the inside. Into the first braking zone we go. Carlos Sainz locks up, going straight on. It's Fernando Alonso. It's Sainz in the lead from Lando Norris, then comes George Russell, and then a very good start for Lance Stroll. Lewis Hamilton is wheel to wheel with Daniel Ricciardo as towards turn 4 we go.
The race leader he is already, so you can already see he's going to be up against it in the late stages of this race, still trying to win it if he can get his way through.
Not the start that Lewis Hamilton wanted, and as they cross the line, it's a 1.2 second advantage for Carlos Sainz. Debris on the floor, that is why they are reporting that. But if the rain is coming in, it's coming in from that part of the track.
Yeah, it is, and you can see there's a yellow flag in sector 1. Who are we missing, or is it just to get the debris? Maybe it's just a caution by the FIA. Sainz actually gets a poor start, and it must be in the second phase. He picks his slipstream up. Look how the difference it is here, and Lando Norris giving him that and opened it up. There goes the challenge. Norris is on the dirty part of the track, and Sainz taken to the nice grippy part, getting his way through here.
Watch the Alpine.
Not got the slipstream, and there's Hamilton going to get boxed in like I was talking about. You're on the wrong side there, and there he had to brake. They all go around him. There's Lance Stroll making his way through, so he made it difficult for Hamilton, but Hamilton had to keep his nose clean. You can't take risks when you're fighting for a championship, but Hamilton at the moment, I've just seen, he's within 0.8 of Daniel Ricciardo. He's put the challenger on.
Leading the first laps in his Ferrari career. He's only led 5 career laps before today, and he's got a 1.1 second gap to Lando Norris. Then comes George Russell, under pressure from Lance Stroll, under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo, under pressure from Lewis Hamilton.
And Sergio Perez has been released. He's passed Alonso. He's just done a 41.6, half a second quicker than what Hamilton did, so he'll join that party very soon.
Bottas will be very happy to have cleared now Nikita Mazepin. Maybe that would...
Rain reducing, so we need to do something about Russell.
That's a different engineer on the road, is it not Bradley Joyce? Is that the performance engineer that's speaking today on Lance Stroll?
Yeah, I think they've switched it round. That's certainly not Bradley Joyce.
But what I was going to say, while Hamilton can't go forward, he's got...
Sebastian Vettel, his former teammate, who's dropped places from the start. Charles Leclerc has made a brilliant start, as I mentioned earlier, up into 12th now.
I was just going to say, he's taking me by surprise. He's much further up the road. But yeah, this is where, you know, when you're Charles, he knows every position.
To you today, this could build up to be something quite special at the end, but for the moment it is not working out for Lewis Hamilton at all. It's kind of working out for Max Verstappen, but he's still got Valtteri Bottas right behind him. It is definitely working out for Carlos Sainz.
Part of the race. Quick line on the harder tyres. They starting to come in their own. Sergio Perez, last time round, starting to match, and in fact half a second quicker than Hamilton. So the hard tyres now have come up to temperature on this cold day in Sochi.
Has cleared Valtteri Bottas. That's a big move for Max Verstappen in the championship battle, because he's now free of one Mercedes, and he can use his pace advantage on the cars ahead of him to try and get into the top 10.
What can you say? That's the difference of? Well, Verstappen's just excluded that one, hasn't he?
Yeah, on lap 6 of 53. This is the move that's taken Max Verstappen past Valtteri Bottas. It was only a move for 14th place, but in the context of this...
Sorry, what's happened here? Sainz, plan A +3, so they're going a little bit longer than the plan that they expected to do.
So I would imagine they're looking at a one-stopper, so extend this stint out.
Just listening to Pierre Gasly's radio, and quite interestingly, it just told him that Bottas is very close behind Max Verstappen.
And
I think that could be a coded message, perhaps. It's
yeah,
maybe let him by in a little.
Running here on 8 laps here in Sochi.
I can see why McLaren are thinking about plan B, the two-stop. You can see the marbles, the tyres must be chewing up, and this is where Hamilton will be struggling, because the kind of freshness has come out the compound. You just can't be comfortable. Max Verstappen 310.
It's a big pit window here as Nicholas Latifi on the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi forces the Alfa Romeo out a little bit wider than Giovinazzi would want to be, and Latifi is ahead in 17th, and this is Max Verstappen down the back straights.
I think Pierre had actually lost DR.
So Sainz is trying to manage his tyres a little bit, maybe fuel consumption as well, because this is very tough on fuel consumption, so you'll see a bit of lifting and coasting later on.
Clear as day, they were managing pace management there to try and do it, and that was based on the team telling Carlos it's +3,
Yeah.
+3, and you already have a calculation of how you're going to approach it, and if the team say that to you, that's where it's going to be difficult.
Whoa! Verstappen was trying an opportunist move down the inside there and had to back out, but he has got ahead of Charles Leclerc, who goes wide and might be struggling a touch on his tyres. We'll see in a moment, but Sebastian Vettel stays 11th. Verstappen now up to he's asking there. Lando Norris has got a really good exit, by the way, out of turn 2, just for one moment. Thought there might be a gap to try and go on and take the lead of this race. Around to turn 3 we go, braking zone into turn 4, they head right, and Norris stays behind Carlos Sainz. Behind the Ferrari or the McLaren, there are faster cars behind them. At the moment, though, which is the fastest to try and take the lead of this race? And Sainz is finding a bit of pace. Norris has had to just drop back a bit, maybe to preserve his tyres.
The benefit of Raikkonen being in front as well.
Did you say that you thought Verstappen could go on and win this race?
I don't think he can go on and win it, not with anything. Well, you never know with the tyres, do you? Absolutely can't count it out, but I would say Norris is, to me, looks favourite at the moment. In his garage, in his toolbox, is an extra set of hard tyres for today, Crofty.
Yep.
So yes, if he turns it into a two-stop, he only has to do one stint on a lower fuel level already than Hamilton's got for, say, at the start. And there it goes. We're looking at the front left tyre, so that's the right-hand side of your screen, and you can...
Crofty, the gap they found is behind Bottas. Stroll is going to come out between Bottas and Mazepin, and that's going to be crucial because there's an 11-second gap of completely free air. So Paul's 100% right. This is bad news for Hamilton. And
Enough to get past Carlos Sainz and go on to take the lead of this race. So the man who is on pole position is back out in front, and Max Verstappen's having a go at Sebastian Vettel and has passed him. So stop, and Stroll has got past George Russell. As Russell comes out onto the racetrack, Lance Stroll has made his way past the man who was in third before the pit stops. So the undercut very much working, but now Ricciardo
on the rear left for Carlos Sainz. That's going to be bad news. Guys, I am completely confused by what Mercedes have done here with Hamilton. Why didn't they bring him in? Because you're absolutely right.
Well, Karuna, I'll come back to that in a moment. They might have left him out there to try and get track position, but that's not going to work for Lewis Hamilton, because as you can see, Carlos Sainz comes...
No. Is this a question of we're seeing two stops versus a one stop here? It'll unfold in the next 10 laps or so, guys.
Charles Leclerc, the only man to reach the podium here in Sochi before making more than one pit stop in the race. Meanwhile, on the hard tyre, our Mercedes just mirroring with Lewis Hamilton what Max Verstappen is doing.
Yeah, but they've got the wrong tyre. They're going on to the tyre, a different tyre. Of course, it's the tyre you can go a bit longer. But stuck behind Ricciardo's not going to make it very easy. I mean, I think McLaren, then the cars in front of him, he took 1.2 seconds out of Hamilton that last lap.
The way this is going, we're going to see Verstappen and Hamilton very close to each other on the track soon. And we didn't think that this morning, did we?
What are you saying, Crofty?
Well, you know, last time they met, got a bit close, a bit too...
Absolute genius at, isn't it? Has been able to use the tyre as much as possible, but still have some in reserve for when he needs it to make an overtake. But that McLaren is just too quick in the straight, as it was in Monza. We're
not saying it's crisis time for Hamilton. What we're saying is he's more than 3 and a bit seconds behind Fernando Alonso. Alonso's not going to make it easy for Verstappen to try and get past him. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Remember Hungary, when Alonso kept Hamilton at bay for so long?
I think the track improvement is masking the...
Cars have been running, just cleaning the track up as it's went on. But they're all, like you say, the tyres have started to clean up, and that's always the thing. If you're front limited, that can sometimes come back, but of course if it just cools off that little bit, then you're going to struggle. And Max Verstappen, another fastest lap of the race.
Got into turn 13, and Verstappen now 5 seconds, under 5 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton.
Credit to McLaren. to be absolutely focused on what they've got to do.
Managing the pace for Valtteri Bottas, we haven't really talked about much. He's 25 seconds behind Lando Norris, the race leader. 25 seconds is about what you lose for a pit stop. Neither Bottas nor Norris have made a pit stop so far.
So I guess they're saying that because on where that goes to.
You don't want to see the predictions, Paul. Just enjoy it. Is it happening?
I just want to see where they are in track position to give you that impression. I'm not saying it tells you where it's going to be, but it shows the ramp up, and the teams run the simulation so you can see that. Last lap, doing a 40.5 versus the guys in front of him on a 41.7.
It's going to be fascinating the way this race is going to pan out, because at the moment those on the hard compound tyre are looking like they're having a very
cool. So he can't do the undercut.
Current tyre age laps from Norris all the way down to Bottas. They've been on those tyres right from the start, from Sainz 11th to Stroll and then Russell.
First time he needs to be closer, because that's when you start to get the DRS. But you can see the Mercedes-Benz power cars in front well into the recharge, because you can see the rear light flashing as they charge up the battery.
Standing on the loud pedal, Hamilton needs about as much force as, about as heavy a force as Meatloaf's lunch at the moment to try and get past Daniel Ricciardo. A strange decision when Karun said it's drizzling in the pit lane to start to come in for a new set of tyres now if you're going to put the slicks on. But what's made it worse for Daniel Ricciardo is that he was held for quite a long time, and he comes out now behind Esteban. If you can call it error in this high-pressured situation, and that might be what happened at McLaren there as well.
It did, definitely. You could see the man with a lollipop almost saying, reaching over to the front left, fortunately, and saying, switch the button on your wheel gun and it will release the car, because of course until...
Turn the car.
I can't turn the car, says Max Verstappen.
Confirmation the tyre's gone, so we're 24 laps in. Obviously if he stops now, he's got a sizable stint, actually more than he's got now, but I think we're Red Bull.
Over his teammate Max Verstappen as well, who runs in 5th place on lap 25 out of 53 with rain threatening. When is Lando Norris going to come in? They're standing, waiting patiently by the tyres. It's got to be soon, hasn't it, Karun?
Yeah.
I've got your message, Max.
Yeah. Now Lewis is just pulling away while we'll have to go with super close.
There's not much space behind, to be honest with you.
So they're trying to find a gap. If Verstappen was to pit now, would he come out neck a touch for Lewis Hamilton, as you would see on the graphic, would retake the championship lead as well. How's this race looking around the final corner for Charles Leclerc? He's still right on the coattails of Max Verstappen. His teammate Carlos Sainz was leading this race at one stage. He, along with Stroll and Russell, and that he's been freed. And still out in front is Lando Norris. Lando Norris coping superbly well with this race so far. Hasn't won yet in Formula One.
We are looking to a P5 finish. Going ahead like this, you're doing a good job.
Start-finish line as we watch now. Carlos Sainz making a very important move indeed on Valtteri Bottas. Bottas hasn't pitted yet. Sainz has, but he needed to try and clear the Mercedes. Hamilton has come back out onto the... leading a Formula One Grand Prix. He sounds so chirpy, and it's just another Sunday afternoon
He's in
drive.
control, but if for anyone that's not got a timesheet, he's doing like just 41 dead, 41-1, 41 dead. He's just consecutively just doing the laps. They're the best we've seen in the Grand Prix. Only a third went purple, sector 2 and sector 3. Best of anybody, best of the laps that he's done as well, so he's want to make an impact. Next up, Stroll and then Bottas, and we know we'll get the wave by from Bottas.
And here goes Max Verstappen on George Russell, and Verstappen has managed to get before this race and only ever led one lap in his career. And that was last time out of the Italian Grand Prix. Is out in front at the moment. Not going to be out in front for long because he's coming into the pits. You can see the McLaren crew ready and waiting and hoping, I'm sure, on the pit wall that they don't have the problems that they saw in third, with Lando Norris now in fourth. Second, third first, second and third haven't pitted yet. Just to remind you, Max Verstappen has pitted, Paul. We saw him coming in and is now the fastest man out on the racetrack. Sainz, but he needs to try and clear Pierre Gasly, and behind these comes Lewis Hamilton, who will be wishing that Carlos Sainz can get past Pierre Gasly, because he needs to try and clear the AlphaTauri as well. Stroll ahead of Ricciardo behind Pierre Gasly in his sights, and Pierre Gasly has been on those hard compound tyres for 30 laps, so you wouldn't imagine will be much of a stumbling block.
Absolutely not. We said Lewis was going to be favourite at the start of this race, and yes, he's got 23 laps to track down Lando Norris and see what he can do, but Sergio Perez is doing a very good job.
Where was it, to Imola? All that time ago, second race of the season at Imola, Lewis Hamilton chasing down Lando Norris on that particular day, and how Lewis Hamilton paid tribute to Lando Norris and said what a great young driver he is. And he might just be chasing down Lando Norris and getting a first-hand experience. Ricciardo has made the move on Lance Stroll, and right behind these two comes Max Verstappen.
And that's because they're vulnerable with the pit stop. Stroll was the first one in of the front runners. He's going to struggle, so is he going to get back in the pits to try and take another set of tyres? And what Verstappen will be trying to do, obviously, is make his move down at turn 2.
Well, surely Verstappen will dominance, and Daniel Ricciardo certainly has plenty of class, as does his teammate Lando Norris. We're looking at him now. You can argue that Lando Norris is the net leader of this race because those in front of him, and there's a gap of, and will play out between now and Abu Dhabi. For the moment, though, powered by AWS, our battle forecast says that Hamilton will be within striking distance of Norris in 5 laps' time. Mercedes, with a 100% record here in Sochi, could keep Max because you're not on a 2-stopper.
Mick, we have to box now, box to retire the car. We cannot resolve the issue and it's a decaying situation. I'm sorry about that, so box now please to retire the car.
Gary Gannon, the race engineer for Mick Schumacher, getting the hurry up now as we see Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. Now, Lando Norris has been into the pits, has fresher tyres on the inside at turn 3, puts himself back up into the podium places, and then continues on his way to hunt down Fernando Alonso in the state that Max Verstappen would like it to at the moment. Saying that, we've seen drivers drive through that graining stage where the surface starts to bobble up a little bit, and you don't get the contact patch on the ground, you don't get the grip that you want, but I think it's looking a little angry.
This is what Red Bull didn't want, him being held up, and I think the likes of Alonso and the likes of Leclerc going that little bit longer just on those tyres, because they are going to be coming up rapid, absolutely rapid, because I think Verstappen's tyre, the compound, started to open up, and if you've just not got the rotations,
He's going to drop down the order. The cars are coming past on track. Just thinking back to that critical part of the race for Lewis Hamilton, that end of the first stint when he got released and he drove away from Verstappen. Remember that? Verstappen came on the radio, said he's pulling away
as well, but he'll start to see that black Silver Arrow. It's a Silver Arrow nickname, but obviously a black car for this season and last in his rear mirrors very, very shortly. Luckily, great, not only has he passed Sergio Perez, but Ricciardo has passed Sergio Perez, and Perez is now ahead of Max Verstappen on fresher tyres, which isn't going to help Verstappen's race unless the team decide to swap them over with a bit of team. He doesn't want the classified results. He's interested in one thing now, Paul di Resta, and one thing only. 15 laps to go. Norris leads Hamilton by 2.1 seconds.
yes it is, and I think
In that first stint. So this is interesting.
Alonso's just got by Verstappen as well. Like I say,
He
they should have
has.
used Perez, they should have switched positions, but that's Alonso being able to go that bit longer. He's been able to get through.
And Alonso on fresher tyres, of course, so they did Drivers' Championship. If it stays like it is at the moment, and Verstappen complaining about his front left tyre after being told to look after it, he's now complaining about the state of those tyres. He's not a very happy man with the way it's going. Hamilton, after a disappointing start, might be a McLaren. They didn't think that a race win was necessarily possible at Monza. And yes, Verstappen and Hamilton crashed out, but they were out in front with Ricciardo on pure pace alone. Did they think they'd come here to Sochi and be on for a race win? Well, that wasn't what Andreas Seidel, the team principal, was saying in the run-up here. He was saying, don't give him compound. He's just a little bit too far behind to make a move on this particular occasion. And just ahead of Ricciardo is Carlos Sainz. Perez could still be on for a podium finish here, Paul.
Yes, he absolutely could. He's got these fresh medium tyres. Of course, he's
getting a lead in the championship. Lando Norris at the moment, absolutely fantastic day. Let's just go down a little bit the order. Valtteri Bottas down in 14th place at the moment.
Lando Norris is very quick in the last sector. He was 2/10 quicker on that lap.
The marbles there, and you don't want to go off line too far, because then you're going to lose your grip, and that's exactly what Perez had to do in terms of getting past Ricciardo, taking a risk, going onto the marbles didn't work.
Yeah, I think they're running less downforce Red Bull. They behind them while they were trying to repair the wing. Then they had to push Hamilton forward. Then Bottas came in for his service. Then he only got 1 lap. Now, he was the quickest guy here in the dry on Friday, so he knows how to drive the track. But with him qualifying down where he did Mercedes say, well, the chances of him...
The Alpine of the Williams of George Russell, and he's got Russell in his sights, and he's going to have to go the long way round turn 3 if it's at all possible. Russell's watching out for him. He leaves a bit of room down the inside. Leclerc will take that opportunity. Say thank you very much indeed, and up into 9th place.
You see the difference.
I think it is, Crofty. The cloud over my head in the pit lane is massive. I've got to go find my rain jacket. This is going to have another twist. I do think there's going to be a little sprinkling here. But once again, just to reiterate what Paul was saying, what a fantastic drive by Lando.
DRS down the straights.
No, but he's just went 2/10 quicker on that lap than Lando Norris, so the gap is only 1.3 seconds now. But you can see Lando Norris's batteries charging all the way down as he gets him down into turn 2. Is Hamilton just doing a different approach? Is he strategically thinking he's going to get one go at this and one
be very slippy and very greasy indeed? So,
but there's a guy that did a very good job when it was like that yesterday, and that was Lando. He was able to get the tyre temp.
well, that's the whole thing. Lewis came in, hit the wall, didn't he? Had to wait to...
Perez has passed Ricciardo as well, so the next person he's got sights, and then Leclerc's going to be putting the pressure onto Verstappen very soon as well.
Perez then up to 4th after making a late pit stop. Fernando Alonso is catching Daniel Ricciardo, who has just set his best lap of the race, and 21 years old, 317 days, would become the 3rd youngest winner in Formula 1, but he has got 9 laps.
How are conditions, Max?
Yeah, look, visiting a little bit there.
Comes into like putting the lottery numbers on, Crofty. How much do you push? And you've got Hamilton charging behind, but then you've got to think Hamilton needs to think about the championship. He can't afford to make any slip up here. If he makes a mistake, it could be a game changer.
But also the part of the track where we're near the seafront, where it is going to be at its wettest. You can see the rain signs there. Hamilton is getting so much closer to Lando Norris. These next 2 corners are really critical as Lando Norris goes wide, and you can see zone. Yes, he can, stays out in front, but Hamilton once again is that much closer, and he's almost shunting that McLaren down the road in his desperate bid to get past. Norris is holding Hamilton up, as it looks like at the moment, but Norris is still staying racing out there on the track and trying to make their way on the slick tyres through the damp part of the track. Comes our race leader and the man in second as Vettel gets past Stroll, and Bottas gets past Raikkonen as the 2 Finns swap places. There's a yellow flag as in the lower midfield. There you can see Valtteri Bottas making his way back out onto the track, and there you can see Yuki Tsunoda not getting in the way, but certainly being a lot closer to Lando Norris than he would have wanted at that moment.
Look at the difference in confidence between Norris and Tsunoda. If I'm Lando Norris, I think I'm going to come to the pits.
Box for Inters.
How he's saying out?
Hamilton's come Inters. Will Hamilton come in? Norris is still squirming.
Track very slippery from here to turn 10. Lots of cars going off.
Yeah, shut up!
Shut up, I know. It's happening to him as well, I think.
Inter.
No!
Oh, he said it's fine, he's happy.
He's saying no.
I think Mercedes are going to come in, Crofty. I think they're going to play it safe.
And they do come in to the pits. Now, is that the right decision or the wrong decision? We'll only find out at the checkered flag. What Hamilton loses by making this pit stop, will he be able to make up as Norris continues to struggle out on the track? And all the lap times have got that much slower.
Stop raining, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, too much, isn't it? Is that the
And
front
that's
wing?
damage for Lance Stroll as he slides his way off the circuit and into the barriers.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot drier as Norris takes that opportunity to zip down the inside and lap Nikita Mazepin.
So if Norris tries to hang this out, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, he is in trouble.
And he is trying to hang it out. And what was that? Bambi on ice? Oh dear. He's having to go sideways through some of the corners. Such is the rain out there. And the gap now is only 12.5 seconds between the leader Norris and second place Hamilton. And down the inside goes Sebastian Vettel. Lance Stroll, who'd already been lapped. Leclerc goes past Perez. And look how heavy the rain is. And Verstappen going to the next race in Turkey. We are on lap 51. Hamilton's got a very comfortable lead. Now, Max Verstappen is going to charge down, we would imagine, second place here. Norris wants to come in. Lewis Hamilton, lap 52, now just has to survive the conditions to go and notch up that 100th Grand Prix and a weekend where he hit his mechanic in a pit stop, he hit the wall in qualifying, and at least didn't want to come in, but Mercedes told Lewis the rain's going to get worse.
I was just going to say, and that's the difference. Mercedes were watching the radar and where it was, but Hamilton's going to get his 100th win. He's been very solid today, done the job he wanted, but I don't think Mercedes expected Verstappen was ever going to get through to P2.
No, and with the fresh power units to take...